Alright everybody, welcome to the video. Of course, my name is Vash, and I am streaming this live over at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vash, and we are joined by some of my fine viewers here on Twitch. They'll be popping in with some discussion, but today is a big day. Today is, and I'm Broly. Today we are going to be going over the Game Awards nominations and all of the games that have been nominated, obviously. I have not voted yet. I've specifically waited on my voting because I was still getting through some of the games that are nominated, especially the ones for Game of the Year. It is currently the 5th of December, so we are cutting it close. But, hi babe, how's it going? We are cutting it close, but we are here. And, the only disclaimer that I want to give, is, I have not yet beat Baldur's Gate 3. I do want to point out, though, that I have, let me get the actual number here. I have 141 hours in Baldur's Gate 3. So, I'm aware of some of the events of the ending. If you want to know, okay, so before we get into all these discussions and all these different games and everything like that, just letting you guys know, there will be spoiler talk for all the games. Any game that's on the list, there's going to be spoilers for them. So if you want to avoid that, if you're watching on YouTube, be aware whenever I bring up a game, I might talk about a spoiler in it because we're talking about everything. We're talking about plot, gameplay, music, all of that stuff. So, giving you a big forewarning now. If you don't want to get spoiled for any of the games that are on the list of nominations this year, then click away now or skip ahead or anything like that whenever I'm talking about a certain game. But it's going to come up, you know, pretty sporadically. So it might be hard to just pinpoint when I'm talking about one game only. But yeah, so for Baldur's Gate 3, when it comes to spoiler talk, we've already taken down Raphael, we've taken down Gortash, we've taken down the Czar's Palace, the Vampire Lord. We've done all of that. The only thing that we're missing is just Orin and then whatever happens after Orin. I'm not sure myself. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be the Elder Brain or maybe even the Emperor. I'm not sure. But that is that's the only disclaimer. Everything else I've gone through. And to kick things off, we're gonna go to the voting. And hold on, Brawley said he wanted me to link him the nominations, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, so view all categories, and then obviously we're gonna start from the bottom and then make it all the way up to Game of the Year because I don't want to end the discussion with best esports event. You know, how much can you really take from that? But all right, we're gonna start with the voting. If I feel like stopping and making a point or going over something else, I will. I do also, whenever we get into the more, you know, prestigious nominations and all of that, I do want to pull up, I have it here, all the games that have been released this year. So if we feel like there's been any games that have been snubbed, any games that have not been highlighted here, I will definitely bring it up. Bro, these random ass events, sports, and player categories are whack as hell. Yeah, it's just, I think the thing is, there's a pre-show to the Game Awards, and then there's the Game Awards. So a lot of the pre-show has this kind of random stuff. And it's just kind of like, you know, you want to fill in the spots with things that people want to be, you know, redeemed for or whatever. Players, I can somewhat understand, but coach, hello? Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's definitely tough. I think it pulls from like sports and you know, other like, you know, like football, baseball, basketball. It pulls from stuff like that where they want to include things that are esports instead of just, you know, that kind of regard. So I can see why they throw them in, but I'm glad that they're not like the highlight of the show. And you know, it is very tough because a lot of the time People don't really care about the Game Awards. A lot of the time, I'll have discussions with people, and they're like, the awards don't really matter because they don't even like acknowledge half of them, and then there's some of them that go up, and it's only one developer or something like that. And and it is unfortunate because I personally, I feel like this year specifically, I'm so excited to see who wins what because it's been such a great year in gaming. But yeah, at least they have the pre-show and a lot of the smaller stuff that a lot of people really wouldn't know, like you know, best content creator or best esports game or best coach, best event. I think those are kind of like hard to vote for. When it comes to me, like, let's go ahead and jump into best esports event. For this one, it's tough for me because maybe Dota 2 Championships was an amazing experience. Maybe being there in the stadium was amazing. But I actually went to EVO, and you know, EVO was EVO, and it's just fighting games. That's where I'm connected to, and that's where a lot of this, what I want to kind of express here, is a lot of these votes, a lot of these games. It's really hard because you have to try to decide within yourself, do you want to go the route of what makes more sense or what's statistically better, or do you want to go with what you like more? And you know, that's the whole thing about voting, is that you vote for the thing that you like more, not what is the accepted to be the best thing ever. At least that's what I feel. But whenever it's stuff like this, sometimes it's easier, like if you want to be right, if you want to be, oh yeah, I got that one right, I guessed it correctly, then yeah, you would probably vote for League because it has a bigger, either League or like Valorant, it has a bigger player base. But for me, I'm gonna vote EVO because I went to EVO. And EVO is, you know, fighting games. That's like a root of mine and my family and my friends. We love going to EVO. I wish DreamHack was on here. That'd be great too, because DreamHack is a great experience. But I think DreamHack's not really an esport event, kind of. I voted EVO. There you go. Yeah. All right, cool. We already got our first crash. Cool. Okay, let's see. So if I just click start voting, see, yeah, it puts me at the very top, so I don't want to do that. I really wish they would change it to where I could just start from the bottom and then go to the Game of the Year instead of start at the top. All right, what's next? Best esports coach. Now again, this is something where I don't know any of these coaches. There's one from League, there's one from Counter-Strike, there's one from Overwatch, there's one from Counter-Strike, and then Valorant. I don't know. This one, it sucks too, because if you're not familiar with why are these people good coaches and all that, then you just kind of like, is it just popularity contest? Do they have a cool name? You know? So I'm just gonna vote for Danny Zonic. I'd vote for Yoon Home because it's close to homie. Okay, yeah. See, that's the thing, is some people might vote that way. They're like, oh, this guy, you know, I like his name, or I like her name, so I'm just gonna go with that. And it's just, I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more of a better way of experiencing that. I guess that's not on us though. That's just through esports in general. Like, they should have more of a spotlight on coaches, or maybe they do, but I don't watch that stuff, so or at least not that much. So I'm gonna try to just breeze through these. I'm not gonna give it a huge reason why. I'm just gonna go. I think Evil Geniuses is that company's actually gonna be dissolving soon. I think I remember reading an article about that. So give them a win on the way out, you know. Best esports athlete. I mean, everyone votes for Faker. My mouse went instantly to Faker. So there, if Broly Legs was on here, you'd get my vote instantly. But all right, moving on. Best esports game. Okay, so this one I can at least give some kind of like input on. I really am so surprised at how Dota 2 is still a thing, man. Like, I promise you, I try my best at rounding out my experience online with games and people who play different games, people I follow and people I watch on YouTube. and no one ever talks about Dota 2. I don't know. Where are these people who play it? I just don't get it. PUBG, I think it's funny that it's PUBG Mobile, not even PUBG the actual, you know, computer version, like the PC version. It's mobile version of PUBG. But I know that one makes a bunch of money too, so I don't know. I'm just gonna go with, I heard Counter-Strike 2. I have it installed, but I haven't played it, but I heard it had a rocky launch. I'm just gonna go vote for League. That's the one that I've played the most out of all those. Content Creator of the Year. Who? Who are any of these? I don't know a single one. Iron Mouse? Iron Moose? I'm just gonna go with people make games, because that's what the Game Awards are about, right? That you want to play games. So if people make games, you know, if they're making them for me to play, then that's the Game Award for me. Okay, now we can actually talk about something I'm excited about. This one's actually tough, man. This is probably one of the more challenging votes for me personally. I can exclude Tekken 8 because it's a fighting game. I'm excited for it, sure, but it's not to that point of the other ones. Star Wars Outlaws has you know, it has potential. The trailer looks great, but I'm personally in a state of like Star Wars burnout. I really want to what is it? I really want to play Jedi Survivor. That's one of the games that got by this year from me. I know what you're picking. But we got 3 games over here that I'm really excited for, all 3 of them. I think that Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth looks hilarious, especially with the Animal Crossing Island trailer that we got for that one. And, you know, Ichiban's just a great character. He's super charming, and that trailer just got me so excited to play that game. But I still don't think that game holds up to these 2. Hades 2, Hades 1 is so much fun. He's picking FF Blood Friends. The devs of Like a Dragon have literally warned to not try and play it in one sitting with how much stuff is in the game. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm really excited for that release. I know Broly is. I know Moon Princess is. We're all gonna be really excited to see how that game pans out. Hopefully, it's good. But yeah, Hades 2 is a game that I'm so excited for. But the thing is, I can't call it my most anticipated game because I don't know much. We got one trailer a while back, and we haven't really got much else from it. So I don't know how far along it is, or how much more we will have to wait for that game. But that is a game that I'm definitely gonna be playing day one. Supergiant Games is a developer that has earned me as a loyal follower for years and years to come. Like, all their games are just so interesting, so fun. And I'm sure Hades 2 is going to be no exception. But I mean, it's just hard. You can't say no to Final Fantasy VII, man. It's an iconic game in the history of gaming, and Rebirth is such a big moment. Everything that they've shown us so far has been really exciting, and it's so close too. It's in February, so a couple months away, and I'll be playing it. So there's like no way that I'm gonna sit here and be like, that's not my most anticipated game. But yeah, I'm definitely going for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on that one. Best adaptation. What's surprising to me is that Five Nights at Freddy's isn't here, even though it made a bunch of money. I personally didn't like Five Nights at Freddy's, so I wouldn't have voted for it anyway. I'm just surprised it wasn't here. But man, look at this. We got a lot of video game adaptation going on right now. We got Last of Us, which was great. I really enjoyed Last of Us TV series. I think it was handled really well. A lot of fans who are more really in depth with Last of Us 1, they probably saw a lot more inconsistencies or differences, or they TLDR'd something. Halo fans in shambles, yeah. I actually have not seen Twisted Metal. I really want to. It's on Peacock for free, so I should probably check it out. But I don't know. Twisted Metal was a franchise from my childhood that I really, really enjoyed. And, I don't know. That trailer that they showed of Anthony Mackie getting back shots by fucking Sweet Tooth, I was like, what is happening? Twisted Metal was surprisingly good? Okay. Yeah, I've heard from people that it was surprisingly, like, you know, enjoyable. So I'll get to it eventually. Castlevania Nocturne is another one that I didn't get to watch, but it's got my boy Richter. I'll watch it for sure at some point. But I think for me, the Super Mario movie was just perfect, man. Everything surrounding that, the release window, they invited a bunch of like people that I follow on YouTube and stuff. Speaking of Halo, yeah. They invited a bunch of different people, content creators, YouTubers, streamers, all these people who are like Nintendo focused. They invited them to go watch the premiere. They had special tickets and everything. They really went all out with the release and the anticipation of the movie with the build up from all the actors being cast. It was just a memorable moment. And I even remember my brother and I, we went to go look for the Mario van out in the world because it was here in Austin, Texas. So that movie was just spectacular. It was really, really fun. The overall presentation of it was really, really great. So I mean, that one's taking my vote for sure. I could see people who really, really like the animation style of Castlevania going for that. I could see people really enjoying the acting and the performance of The Last of Us. But for me, the Mario movie, like best gaming adaptation, it just, the Mario on the big screen after so long was really, really cool. Let's see, best multiplayer game. Baldur's Gate 3, Party Animals. What the hell is that icon? Wow, this one's actually tough. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I think that overall, Mario Wonder is a great game and it was fun with friends, but it's not great multiplayer. Like, it is very chaotic. It is a very one-sided to whoever's in the lead. The camera follows them, and it gets really, really hard to stay alive. It's fun. It's chaotic. It's kind of like, you know, you're trying to make the most of it, but a lot of the time, if you have a skilled player playing with you, I mean, because I played through all of Mario Wonder with co-op with Solar and Brawling. So yeah, when it comes to best multiplayer, I just don't see it as my favorite. Street Fighter 6 is also great, but you know, there's only so much of an extent that fighting against your friends can give, if that makes sense. You can you know, level up and get better together, get your favorite characters, and then make a lobby, and it's great. But yeah, I don't think that it has that kind of like memorable, lasting power that yeah, I think Baldur's Gate gives. Diablo 4, it was so funny. I was excited for it because I've played every Diablo game, but I didn't buy Diablo 4. It was just too expensive for all the bad press that it was getting, and I decided to wait. And it turns out that it was good that I waited, because it did not pan out very well. And it's kind of going through an identity crisis alongside Path of Exile, because Path of Exile is coming out with a big update, and it's all free, and you can just play the game for free. And it's offering a lot of stuff that Diablo players want. I have to be real, I don't know what Party Animals is. I have no clue. It's probably like some kind of YouTube series popularity game, if I were to take a guess, and it's on Steam. But yeah, my best multiplayer, I've been doing my entire Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough with friends, and yeah, the multiplayer is just so much fun. As long as your friends don't just run off and do all the story without you. Diablo 4 is better now, but still needs work, going the same route Diablo 3 did. Yeah, bummer. Best sports and racing game. Honestly, from what I saw, the Hot Wheels Unleashed, like just in general, Hot Wheels racing, the whole Hot Wheels expansions for like Forza Horizon, and just Hot Wheels in general just offers more enjoyment value for me personally. I could see people I could see people enjoying The Crew. I enjoyed The Crew when it first came out, the first version of The Crew, because you were able to just go across America and you could see like big points of interest that you are familiar with. Like if I went in Texas, I could see certain things. That was cool. So I don't know anything about Motorfest, but yeah, I'm just gonna go with Hot Wheels because that one just seems more of like an arcadey fun time. No Dizzy Speedstorm? Yeah, I know, right? Surprising. All right, so next we got best sim/strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm actually gonna look it up. Cities Skylines 2 apology. Didn't they put out an apology? Oh wait, it was a CEO. Last week in my comments in the forum, I tried to make a very direct way to say that we made different design choices in City Skylines 2 compared to its predecessor. We understand that that some may prefer one over the other. We wish it had gone a different direction. Half of the sim elements in it don't even work. RIP. Yeah, I've never really been a big fan of the games like Civilization, like Civ 5 and City Skylines and what are some other ones in there? Like I don't hate them, but it's just not something I gravitate to. It's not a game that I find enjoyable to play on my free time. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is great. The Advance Wars series is awesome, but I feel like it was just still, you know, it's just a port of the other games back on Switch. And then Fire Emblem Engage, from what I saw Broly played through the game. It was very, 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 like, celebratory game, kinda, but the characters were one-dimensional. They had, like, no purpose. They were just all stupid or something like that. So I'm just gonna go with Pikmin 4. Overall, Pikmin 4, when I played the demo, I found it just very, very immersive, relaxing, enjoyable, and managing the Pikmin in that way was a lot of fun. And from all the people that I follow that I enjoy watching and watching content of them, they've enjoyed Pikmin 4 a lot. So that's going to be my vote because more Pikmin is always fun. And I'll play through it eventually. I actually got Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch, the remasters. So that'll be fun to play through all of them because I have those two. I've got the Wii U version of 3, and then I've got I gotta get 4 at some point. But all right, we're getting pretty close to almost halfway through, and it's gearing up for more. Let's see. For best family game, man, it's such a bummer. I really wanted to play Disney Illusion Island. That game, I love the style of Mickey and his friends in that art style. It reminded me a lot of like Rayman Legends, but I just never got around to picking up a copy. And they're not expensive either. I think at launch it was like $39.99. So wasn't terrible. Let me see. Sonic Superstars. I mean, I played through it with Broly and Solara, another game that was just really tough to sell on me the multiplayer aspect. They were like, yeah, play with friends, but it was not a fun experience playing with friends, other than laughing our ass off trying to get the medals from the bonus courses. Though that was something that was really enjoyable, but besides that, it's just you constantly would die because whoever was playing Sonic or anything like that would just zoom past the screen and you would have to die and catch up and then die. It was just, I don't know if Sonic's the best bet for multiplayer, at least not in that style. And yeah, I mean, I just think that it's really hard. Mario Wonder, a game that is up for Game of the Year, is a game that's just it pushes sales, man. It pushes consoles. The holiday season is probably gonna sell a lot of more Switches, and more just, you know, single units itself, because yeah, kids, I mean, everyone loves Mario. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can just play and have a good time. And especially for a family, if you're playing with your daughter or son or whoever, you have that ability of being able to play alongside them with the co-op and have a good time. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with Mario on that one. Best fighting game. Okay, well, it's definitely not gonna be Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, because I couldn't believe it, but that game came out, and then I want to say like 2 weeks later, it was on sale 70% off with Humble Bundle or something like that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I would feel so sad if I had got that day one. I've heard it's better than the first one. I heard that there's more that it offers, but they lost me on that one. Whenever we got the first one and they screwed us over with the netcode being bad, the online matchmaking being bad, no voice acting, the story mode being bare bones. It was just unfortunate, dude. Like, man, what a rip. Big rip. So, All-Star Brawl, no. Mortal Kombat 1, you know, I think for a grander scale of the casual audience, I think Mortal Kombat 1 was a success, you know. They put out a new Mortal Kombat with a new realm, new world, Liu Kang, made a whole new story, new elements of characters that we knew. And I mean, I couldn't dissuade anybody from voting for Mortal Kombat 1 because also the guest characters have been amazing. We got Peacemaker, we got Omni-Man, we got Homelander, we got, I mean, Quan Chi's not a guest character. But we've got so many characters on there that people are like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. It's unreal. It is unfortunate though. I believe Anthony Starr, the guy who plays Homelander, he has confirmed that he's not going to be voicing him for some reason, which is peculiar, but it is what it is. I know Omni-Man is voiced by what's his name, J.K. Simmons, right? And then John Cena is confirmed to be as Peacemaker. So I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't really know much about Pocket Bravery. I wonder if that's a sequel or a continuation of Pocket Rumble. There was a game on Switch that I played called Pocket, I think it was called Pocket Rumble or Pocket Fighter. And yeah, I don't really know much about God of Rock either. I think the answer for me is Street Fighter 6. I mean, I was just recently playing through the World Tour yesterday. And yeah, that's just the game I'm excited for. Ed is going to be released soon. I'm hoping the Game Awards gives us a release trailer or an early look at Ed. That'd be really, really cool because that's the character that I want to main whenever he comes out. That was my main in Street Fighter 5. So I really hope Ed shows up at the Game Awards, at least like a gameplay trailer. All right, so we've got Best RPG for the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massive multiplayer experiences. All right, so this is it's a tough one for me because there's games on here that I really, really respect and enjoy. Let's not cap. I mean, Lies of P is an amazing game. I loved it completely, and I feel like overall it got snubbed in a couple of different departments of these categories, and we'll go over that when I get to it. But I just want to do a quick look. So these are the best RPGs of 2023, and I actually want to scroll through and see if there's any that released that are new. That might have been overlooked, right? Or spoken, wow. Hi-Fi Rush is not. The one that I'm thinking of that is probably going to be one that people might say got snubbed was Octopath Traveler 2. When did that game come out? Is this Borderlands music? Octopath Traveler 2 release date. Yeah, that came out in February 24th. So that is... where is it? Should pop up here. Maybe. Bum, 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 bum. 22, 22, 24. Company. Octopath Traveler 2, right there. I like how they threw in Starfield. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That was... Starfield is something that I feel like... I don't know. I have a feeling that Starfield is going to be the type of game where 2 years from now, people are going to be like, man, this game's amazing. Like, oh, people really slept on this game, and with all the updates now, it's I feel like they're too far gone where Xbox is going to make Bethesda just continue to work on Starfield or something. Because I think I there was a recent interview with I think Phil Spencer where he had said he wants Starfield to have the same lifespan as like 12 years of Skyrim. Yeah. They said they wanted Starfield to last as long as Skyrim. So That's gonna be a tough one. Good luck. I'm trying to think. Oh man, I forgot Atomic Heart came out this year. That's true. Tales of Symphonia remastered. Any other day, I would have shielded, but no. Is there anybody in the chat can think of any RPGs that might have not made the list that should have? Yeah, you know what's true? I would say, would y'all consider Remnant 2 an RPG? If they got Lies of P on here and Starfield, I'm surprised Remnant 2 isn't on here. Because Remnant 2 was really good. I played like the first 20 hours of it. And I'm surprised that that's not on there over Starfield. I mean, Mega Man Network Legacy Collection, I love Battle Network. And, I don't know, it could have been on there, but, you know, I think the pedigree of Starfield just carried it onto the list, if that makes any sense. Pixel Remaster for Final Fantasy. It's just tough with those. Like, yeah, they released this year, and yeah, it's a remaster, but I don't know. I mean, they put Reboot Camp of Advance Wars on there, so for me, it's just kind of tough. Like, what do you consider you know, an eligible nominee for certain awards? Like Live Alive or Live Alive, whatever you want to call it. PS5 plays. Okay, I think that one came out on Switch, and then it came out on other ones later, right? Bum 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 bum. Darkest Dungeon 2, that could probably be considered one. What else? Kind of surprised me. Armor Core is in there. Yeah, I guess that's also another one. Armor Core could be considered. Fire Emblem Engage. Is it an RPG? Because they had that in Simulator. They had that in a tactical sim game. I don't know if it's considered an RPG. It's really tough too, because what do you like? The definition of RPG is so, I don't know. It's hard to explain sometimes what RPG is and what it isn't, and what qualifies and what doesn't. And I just feel like there's so many branches. Like, it could be considered an RPG, or it really is an RPG, but it has like some elements or something. You know, it's hard to tell sometimes. I'm not really seeing here. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see better. Dave the Diver, Death or Treat, Bugsnax is on iOS. Wow. Bum bum bum. Pikmin 4. Yeah, Remnant 2 came out in July. Sea of Stars. Yeah, I mean, the one that comes to mind for me is, I mean, Armor Core could be considered, but also, yeah, I just think Octopath Traveler 2 could have definitely taken a spot over, I mean, I don't know, over Starfield. I think that maybe even over Sea of Stars or over Lies of P. But yeah, I just think that when it comes to RPGs, it's just hard. It's a hard pressed sell to convince anybody other than Baldur's Gate 3. Like, the game just had really compelling characters and music and all of that good stuff, and I really do feel like this year's Game Awards is going to be dominated by the ones that are Game of the Year, because they fill the other roles, the other categories so well that it's hard to not have, you know, here's these other games that are beloved and people really enjoyed, but then there's also a Game of the Year nomination that showed up in there too, and it's like, what do, you know? But all right, that one's best RPG. But yeah, Octopath Traveler 2, if you guys haven't played it, definitely give it a shot. It's really good. Oh man, for the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Woo! Okay, so best action adventure game, right? Man, this is tough. Okay, so you guys know I love Alan Wake 2. I played it, but the action and the combat in that game isn't the strongest pick. You're stupid, Fumble. Resident Evil 4 remastered or remake, man, like that game is so, it was so good. The combat was great. the overall ability of Leon being transferred from PlayStation 2, GameCube, that era, to the modern age, still worked out great. It was a great direction in that regard of interacting with the world and interacting and all that. But when it comes to the puzzles and traversal, it's not exactly the most efficient. There's not a great traversal system. There's not that adventure aspect to it. It's just kind of like a story that Leon's on, and one that we know. The action is definitely there, but the adventure aspect of the nomination isn't quite up to par. I really, really wish I was able to play Jedi Survivor. I try really hard whenever these Game Awards and the nominations come out to at least have some inkling on what the gameplay's like for all these games. Obviously, I have the Platinum Trophy for Star Wars Fallen Order, so I know Cal Kestis' story. I know that world. I know, what to expect with that combat. It's got a little bit of that, the healing and dodging and aspect of Dark Souls that you would expect in its combat when you're locking on and there's a big boss health bar and you only have so many heals and blah blah. So it's similar in that regard. But yeah, unfortunately I wasn't able to get a copy of Jedi Survivor, and on top of that, it really sucks because I believe they added dual wielding as an actual main attacking class in that game. So I'm pissed I didn't get to play it. So for me, the top two contenders for this is Tears of the Kingdom and Spider-Man. Now this one it's tough for me because you've got Tears of the Kingdom that's got an amazing sense of adventure. So compelled to just go out and find what's underneath Hyrule. The depths is one of the most memorable things about that game, is finding the depths and exploring throughout all of it. The traversal's amazing. All the different abilities and ways of being able to traverse through the world is spectacular, and the puzzles are really, really good. The combat is fine. It's not the best. It's not the most amazing combat, but it's not bad at all either. It's just fine. You got Link and his abilities, and you've got all these different avenues of being able to attack enemies. So Tears of the Kingdom is just a spectacular game, and the tools they gave us to attack with just leaves every interaction to be different and fun, and your imagination is the wheel, and you just kind of go with it. Spider-Man 2, I had a blast with that game. Me and Solara actually decided to do something fun, and we made it very co-op based. He played as Miles and I played as Peter, and the combat is spectacular, of course. Spider-Man being able to beat up all the enemies and all the different gadgets. I do think that Miles is much stronger than Peter in this game. His ability to clear out waves of enemies is just unmatched. But still, the whole symbiote stuff with Peter and the abilities that he gets with that makes it very fun to play as both Spider-Men. The traversal, of course, is amazing. I think that the wing glider, the spider wings or whatever, that was really cool, a cool addition to the game. But it's just it's one of those things where you have to leave like limits on yourself when it comes to how you want to enjoy the game, because fast travel is just so instantaneous. You literally pick a spot on the map, a specific spot wherever you want to go, and you're there in a second. So if you don't want to do that and you want to swing through the game, you want to glide through the game, you can, and that makes it more enjoyable with the traversal. I felt like I limited myself on doing the wing stuff because it was just so much quicker than web swinging, but I wanted to web swing, The puzzles in the game were not very fun. I'm sorry. It was again one of those moments where people didn't really like the wire work in the first game, where you have to align the wires and make Peter solve the issue with the machinery. Well, this game they had like elements. You would have to get elements of like daytime and water elements and hydrogen and all this shit, and then try to make like a formula for something. And it wasn't very enjoyable. I'm glad that Solara was playing, because he did some of that more than I did. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that overall, the best action adventure game where it comes to traversal, puzzle solving, and just being in that element of adventure and fun and excitement of what's next. You gotta give it to Zelda, man. Tears of the Kingdom was just so spectacular, and Spider-Man's close. I could, if somebody voted, brain puzzles aren't your thing. Spider-Man's so close. It's just like I mentioned. I mean, both games have an argument of like a safe sequel, but I feel like Zelda did more. If I were to approach a fight in Marvel Spider-Man, it'll be fun, but it'll be really, I kind of have an idea of what I'm gonna do. If I am going over the horizon of somewhere, if I were going over the horizon somewhere in Tears of the Kingdom and there's a group of enemies, I can do whatever I want. I can summon a robot horse that I created. I can get a bunch of barrel bombs and then roll them all down the hill. You understand, like that aspect of involving traversal along with the combat and the puzzle solving and the gameplay. I just think Tears of the Kingdom had all of that done better. I just really want this brand of Zelda games to be done. I mean, they said that they're kind of done with the Tears of the Kingdom world, so or like the that Hyrule, that version of Hyrule. But yeah, that's it for best action adventure. Now see, this one's best action game, and we don't have a lot of the other. Well, I'm surprised. Like if it was just strictly best action genre, primary on combat, I mean, I feel like Spider-Man would have taken this one easy for me, or Resident Evil 4 if that was on here. But wow, best action game. Whew. Okay, so admittedly, I have not played Ghost Rider 2 or Dead Island 2. Armor Core 621. I personally feel like Armor Core. I played through all of Armor Core. I played through the whole game, got the ending. I made my little mech, and I just was not impressed with that game. I don't care if it was from Software. Dead Island 2 was fun with friends. Okay. I heard a lot of good things about Ghost Runner 2. I heard that game visually was stunning, and it was just what, Genji Simulator. I really want to play the Ghost Runner games. I feel like especially if they support super ultra wide, because I've got a G9 monitor, I think that'd be amazing to play through. But yeah, Armor Core, I don't think it would take best action game for me because I just was not a fan of that game, dude. Like the storytelling was bad. Or at least in the way that I like storytelling, I didn't enjoy it. No character faces, no cutscenes with any sort of emotion other than voice comms from people. And the combat itself, if we're focusing on just strictly the action, there was a lot of jank. There was a lot of they had to patch an enemy early on because it was a wall for people. And it was like acting out. I was acting in ways that it wasn't supposed to, or something like that. I feel like Hi-Fi Rush. I played through all that game when it came out on Game Pass. It was a Shadow Drop game. I loved the hell out of it. The music was great. The voice acting was great. The characters and the vibrancy of the world was awesome. The whole game was really, really cool. But I feel like Remnant 2 just captures a lot more of that action-y, what I want out of a third-person shooter, especially with friends. I think that Remnant 2 just kind of capitalizes on that action aspect more, and I can't wait to play more of it. Me and Cloud were playing through it. I actually got to see that little water god that was underneath the... I forgot. I think it was in the mansion area. There was like a separate pathway that you would have to go to get to her. But yeah, it's just Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and that took up all of my multiplayer time with Cloud, so I haven't been able to get back to it. But yeah, I think that'll be my vote. If people voted for Hi-Fi Rush, I completely understand. I personally just think that that game does a lot of great things, but the action part isn't like the most spectacular part of it. It's great. They have a lot of great combos, a good upgrade system, and especially with the whole rhythm aspect, it makes it really, really fun. I just think that if I were to choose which one makes me more like, oh man, I'm having like a blast with fighting these enemies, Remnant 2 is just more satisfying. Being able to build your own class and you know, kind of get like an identity with your gameplay is really, really cool. So that one's gonna get my vote for best action game. I'm surprised by this list. Do y'all feel like anything else could be here? I mean, I feel like Spider-Man should probably be over, you know, Ghost Runner 2 or Dead Island 2. That's how I feel, at least. I think that Spider-Man is considered... I thought Resident Evil 4 Remake would be here. Yeah. I feel like there's other games that fulfill that action value and that are more widespreadly more popular than these. But, I mean, it's cool to have some sort of you know, more of a diversity in choices, I guess. I guess they didn't want certain games to sweep all categories. Yeah, I can see that. Best VR and AR. I have a VR headset, and for me, I played Resident Evil 4, the original, in VR, and it was spectacular. So I'm going to assume that Resident Evil Village VR was equally as good. And man, I cannot wait for Resident Evil 4 Remastered VR. That's going to be so cool. But yeah, I'm going to go with Resident Evil for this one. I think that judging off of my experience with Resident Evil 4 Original VR, that was so much fun going through that world, but all in first person. And the Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 7, those kicked off first person for Capcom Resident Evil games. So I think that it would hold true for the most part. That would be really interesting. I actually would not mind going through VR of Resident Evil Village. I think that'd be really, really cool. I think it's pretty funny that the thumbnail they chose for this is Lady D, though. That's pretty funny. All right, best mobile game. What do we got? Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. I've been enjoying that one. Hello Kitty Island Adventure? I thought that was just like an online MMO. They made it into a mobile game? Wow. Honkai Star Rail, obviously that one's probably gonna win. Monster Hunter Now, I've heard a couple of my friends play it, but I'm not too sure how that one's panning out. The only mobile game that I'm excited for is the release of Ever Crisis on PC. It's actually coming out on, I think in 2 days. I think it's on the 7th that it releases on PC. So Ever Crisis is fun, and I'm mainly there just because it's Final Fantasy VII and its story. The mobile aspects are kind of whatever, but at least we get a lot of characters that we love in different outfits throughout the seasons. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Honkai Star Rail is gonna win. Hoyoverse is just dominating that kind of like space of gaming. But yeah, I'm gonna go for Ever Crisis as my vote because that's the one that I played the most. Let's see here. Best indie game. For the best debut indie game created by a new independent studio. Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a pretty well, you know, established winner. I have watched speedruns of it. I'm excited for more speedruns of it from GDQ and stuff. But Pizza Tower, it's supposed to be like a Wario Land kind of game. And I really want to play it because every single person that I've spoken to about Pizza Tower, they love it. They're obsessed with it. They love the style. They love the music, everything. And it's a game that definitely seems like a game that would be up my alley if I got around to playing it. And I'll play it eventually. I definitely want to get through Pizza Tower. But I've heard nothing but praise from this game. And the other ones, I'm sure they're worthwhile in their own regard. I know especially Viewfinder. When I first saw the trailer for Viewfinder, that was such a unique experience of looking at the perspective of something and it becoming a totally different room, a totally different world. Really, really cool, interesting game. I really want to play Viewfinder at some point. But yeah, we've got Pizza Tower here, and that one's gonna take my vote for best indie game. I wonder if I wonder what next year is gonna hold for us for the best indie game, depending on what releases and what doesn't. All right, so this one's the best independent game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside of traditional publisher system. So this one, I don't understand why. Why did Lies of P not make this cut? Dave the Diver is an indie, yeah. Why did Lies of P not make it? Can someone give me one good reason why it did not make it? Because I'm confused by that. That's something that I feel got snubbed for me personally. And on top of that, where the hell is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk? For both of them, for this category and the other one, where the hell is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk? Like, that was one of my favorite games this year. That one's in my like top 5 for sure. Where the hell is those Lies of P and Bomb Rush Cyberpunk? How did they not make this list? What's the evaluated efforts here for deciding who makes what, where, and what time and why? But out of all these, unfortunately, yeah, the only one that I've played and seen Brawly play through and seen other friends play through is Sea of Stars. And Sea of Stars, you know, people have their praises of it, people have their complaints. But it is such an achievement in style and capturing that old school RPG feeling. So that one, yeah, Sea of Stars just takes my vote when it comes to best independent game. But if it was here, I would have been. It would have been for sure Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Like that game, my favorite game of all time is Jet Set Radio Future, and that game captured it so well. I love the hell of that game. That one helped jumpstart my YouTube channel so much because I was making guides, I was making videos on different ways of getting achievements. I love the hell out of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It's one of my favorite games out of the past couple years. It's amazing. Unfortunate though. Best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. Indie games are games devs by studios with small teams generally separate from big studios. Yeah, exactly. So how did Lies of P and Bomb Rush not make it? You know, they're not like humongous studios. They're just what gotta be Baldur's Gate 3 or 14 for this one. The people who made Lies of P were backed by devs who made Bless Online, a MMO. Yeah, but that's like, you know, you can just because you make an MMO isn't exactly putting you as like a AAA or as a big publisher or a big developer. You know, I just don't see it as enough of a well, what's like a catalog, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like enough of a history of making games for it to be in that point. Again, small. Cyberpunk and No Man's both released garbage. Gotcha. I mean, No Man's Sky has already gotten to the point where people are very happy and impressed with where the game's at. Like from where it launched, of course, it was terrible. Same thing with Cyberpunk, where it launched, it was terrible, and now it's at a point where people are like, I love these games. I love what they've done with it, and that's why it keeps getting. I believe No Man's Sky has been on the community support one for the past 3 years or something, or maybe more. Read what the category is: best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they listen to the community and they continue to persevere through to get the game to where it's at. I think them releasing like garbage, yeah, the community was not supportive in that regard. But I think that when a game goes beyond that, beyond the release date, year or two later, 3 years later, and they've got a driving force of players that are praising the game, transparency and responsiveness. Yeah, that's where I don't agree with. I agree with that one. But No Man's Sky, they've been on that. Cyberpunk, not so much. They both straight up lied on release. Yes, I agree with that too. That's why I'm personally not voting for them, because I think that you have a game that comes out and you've always been transparent. You've always been very inclusive in social media and letting players know about what to expect and blah blah blah. But this is years later. Like Cyberpunk came out when? Let me see. Cyberpunk release date. That was in 2020. So 3 years ago. December 10th, 2020. So yeah, essentially 3 years ago. And No Man's Sky release date was in 2016. So if we're still talking about No Man's Sky all the way from 2016 till now, there's obviously something going on there. There's the developers righting their wrongs for years and years and years, which is impressive. Golden says Destiny 2 players wondering why is Destiny 2 there. Yeah, I think that maybe whenever this was being regarded, they weren't at the state that Destiny 2 is in now or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that this one's tough for me because usually I'm a Final Fantasy 14 player. I played that game since the launch of A Realm Reborn. That's been more than 10 years. I've been playing that game for more than 10 years. So I know a good bit about how people feel about the game, how the developers handle the game, and all of that. And I just think that this year has been a huge undertaking for the Final Fantasy 14 team because Yoshi P was split between directing this game and also Final Fantasy 16. You got two mainline title Final Fantasy games, and you got Final Fantasy 16 being released and being directed by the same guy. So there was an obvious decline in efforts post Endwalker, where things just weren't exactly moving at the speed people wanted, and there was a lot of things that weren't exactly up to par. And I feel like now that 16's been out, Dawntrail has been announced, we're getting all of that. I just think that overall the community of 14 is very, very passionate and loving of Yoshi P and his team. And with FanFest and all of that coming out, I feel like they're constantly being updated and constantly being on the same level as their player base, which is amazing. I think that the way they handle 14's MMO process and how they interact with the fans is really, really, really good. I just think that recently there's just been a lot of issues that aren't being addressed right away, and I think that with Dawntrail's release, I'm hoping that some kind of wheels turn in making the mold of 14 move on to something better than where we're at now. And I know a lot, even with the Fall Guys announcement, with the Fall Guys event being added to 14, like there's more issues again with the netcode coming up, with the latency issues, and there's just a lot of factors that 14 needs to overcome, and it just sucks that this year was definitely, it felt like what's the reason to log in, and that's never good. And then yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3, you know, the game, its community is the reason why it's at the pedestal it's at now. I think that the developers constantly looking at to see what people want, what kind of updates it wants, what kind of differences that they can make with the players and what they want the players to experience off of the feedback. I just feel like Baldur's Gate is a passion project from the developers and the fans all combined into one. That it helps itself in this regard, and that's why it's going to take my vote for community support. But I also think that that's something I want to bring up later when we're talking about the game in general. But yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3 shines so much because the developers are on par with what the gamers want, what the fans want, what the community is asking for. Little issues with certain aspects of characters or the certain quest lines. But yeah, I think that obviously I'm so excited for Dawntrail. I'm so excited because they're adding a dual wielder class. That's my thing. So my new soon-to-be favorite class and my new main class is going to come out soon, and I couldn't be more excited for it. But I do think that there needs to be some kind of shift in the way that things are handled post expansion, because it's getting more and more tiresome as time goes on. Best ongoing game. We already know Genshin Impact's gonna win. We all know it. If you go to the player's voice, if you go to this voting over here, it's still there. Which is your favorite game of the year? Player's voice, 100% fan voted. So it's ridiculous that Genshin is still going up against Game of the Year nominees and contenders for best player's choice. So you already know the best ongoing game's gonna go to that. Out of the ones shown here, Hoyo bribing his player base with free Primo Gems every time they win a nomination. Shake my head. Yeah, it's unfortunate too. It's an ongoing game. They get prizes for their victories, so people are gonna come out of the woodwork to come vote for it. I mean, for me, honestly, I this one can be voted. These three right here, anybody could vote for these three, and I understand. But like, I'm voting for 14 out of my own personal appreciation for that game. 10 years I'm attached to it. I love that game. I'm never gonna stop playing. It's the best ongoing game for me out of the ones shown here. But Fortnite, you know, it just continues to deliver, and they just released a trailer where every skin that you own becomes a Lego skin or something like that. They're collaborating with Lego, and there's like a Lego mode, and I don't. It's unreal what Fortnite has accomplished, and they're still going. They just added fucking Peter Griffin, dude. Like, it's unreal to think Fortnite, you know, where it started and where it's at now and how big it's become. But yeah, just for me, I'm just putting up a vote for the one that I enjoy the most, but I understand why people would vote for these two. Games for Impact, I never really understood these. I think these are meant to be games that are just strictly, they want to touch the heartstrings, they want to make you feel something, for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. If I were to vote, and which I am going to vote, I unfortunately have not played any of these. These are all games that got away from me. I know the Chia, or however you want to say this, this game was showcased a lot in a lot of like PlayStation State of Plays. It looked like a little bit of a mix of Zelda, Wind Waker style, kind of like traversal. I don't know. Goodbye Volcano High, that I don't know about that one at all. I don't see myself ever playing that game. But A Space for the Unbound, I believe this is a game that was inspired by To the Moon, or it's also helped by the people who made To the Moon. I'm not sure, but I actually have this one on my wish list, so I'm voting for that one. On my Steam wish list, it's there, so that I'm gonna vote for that one, because I can see myself playing that one in the future. Innovation in accessibility, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward and adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. This one, it's tough because it all comes down to really the technical side. If you really want to get down to what offers the most accessibility, like this one shouldn't even be a vote. It should just be straight up which one offers more, you know? For me personally, I think it's gonna be, my vote is Street Fighter 6, because they actually have accessibility options in the game where you can have different sound, like tonal sounds for every movement and how far you're walking, how close you are to your opponent, which is unreal. Like, you could play the game if you have bad eyesight, or if you can't see and you want to listen to how you're moving in the game, you can, which is unreal. I can't speak for everything. I don't know the minute details of Forza Motorsport or what Mortal Kombat 1 offers, but I just think that that's the one that I know of. And Street Fighter 6, along with the fact that fighting games have had more and more controllers and different aspects of ways of being able to play. Like, I started using a snack box, and this has no levers, no triggers, nothing like that. It's just buttons. So there's a lot of different ways of being able to approach a fighting game in accessibility, I feel like. So that's where my vote goes to. Best performance, man. This one's tough. I think right off the gate, I think what's tough for me is Astarion. Neil Newborn in Astarion is absolutely phenomenal. Like his way of having all these inflections in his voice, all these different emotions come out through the character is so well done. But Ben Starr has just been such a big standout. He's been such a big standout in Final Fantasy 16. His deliverance of Clive was just so good. It was so like gut wrenching at times. It was so heartbreaking at times. Final Fantasy 16 is a game that I have a really mixed opinion on when it comes to my enjoyment. It was like the pinnacle of that game. The highs are so high. You're like, whoa, this is amazing. What a spectacular story and experience. But then like there's so many lows that are like you're just asleep, dude. You're like, oh, like get me to the next big moment. And it's unfortunate. That's the truth. Like I love Final Fantasy as a franchise. I love 16 and its characters, but there was a lot of times where I was like, man, like I gotta walk all the way back here and just like listen to this guy talk about nothing and blah blah blah. And then you get to the next thing. Why was Clive naked half the scene? Well, why wouldn't he be, bro? What are you talking about? You seen that man? Clive can be naked all he wants. No one would care. But why was he naked during the beach? You know. But yeah, it's tough. I really feel like I could see Ben Starr getting the win, and I would be so happy for him. Yuri Lowenthal, obviously his version of Peter is one that has been with fans for years, and I enjoy what they presented in Spider-Man 2. I think that his interactions with Harry and MJ, especially him having the symbiote, it brought his version of Peter out in a more gruesome way at times. But I'm at the same point with Yuri Lowenthal that I am with Roger Craig Smith as Sonic. I'm just kind of over them in the sense of like I want something new. I want a new take on Peter in the video games, and I want a new take on Sonic in the video games. I feel like they've given me what they have, and this Spider-Man gave me more that I haven't gotten from them, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm good. Whereas I can remember, the gut-wrenching moments of Ben Starr screaming like, I'll fucking kill you, and he's like, watching Joshua get totally demolished by Ifrit in the game. And yeah, Astarion was just so spectacular, so stand out. I think there was an article about this guy where he was saying that he was so close to just giving up on his career. But you can tell just how much passion and love and effort went into Astarion's performance, and him fully capturing this abused and tortured soul of a vampire man. Cal Kestis, Cameron as Cal in Star Wars, I don't know. He's just, he gives off his deliveries and he fits well. I like his character. I like Cal's story in the Star Wars universe. I just don't think it's to that degree of best performance, Idris Elba, love the guy. I don't know. I'm irked a little bit when it comes to a Hollywood actor becoming a voice role. I didn't play Phantom Liberty, so I don't know if there's any really intense moments where the voice work comes into play a lot. But yeah, I think for me, I'm just gonna give it to Neil. I think Neil just really captured that Renaissance vampire sassy man so well. It's his role. It's gonna live on forever. Astarion is loved by many, myself included. But man, if Ben Starr wins, I would be so happy as well. Either one could be my vote for that. Best audio design, recognized for the best in-game audio and sound design. Now, okay, hold on. Let me double check. After this is score and music. Okay. So score and music is for outstanding music inclusive of score, original songs, or licensed soundtrack. Pull out Rue for the finale. Yeah, he's right there sleeping right now. Best in-game audio design. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm leaning to as well, Golden. I feel like the in-game audio design of Hi-Fi Rush, where everything is worked around the music, the gameplay, the environment, the signs and stuff moving in the background, all of that is so well done. That is like the core of it. But the thing is, Dead Space Original is probably the pinnacle. I mean, like Dead Space Remastered or Remake is the pinnacle of like a pure remake. Here's a game that just brought it back. I was actually playing this yesterday. I have it on PC through EA Play, and playing through the opening on my computer monitor and going through all the effects of the lighting, the monster, the feet being dragged around, the stomping, the gun, all the movements. Everything sounds great in that game. It's really, really good. This was a tough one, man. It's really hard. Resident Evil 4 has some great sound design. It's got some great audio design. Alan Wake 2 is spectacular. It's such a visual marvel. And there's so many aspects to that game that are great when it comes to, you know, when you have the lighting effect of Alex Casey talking and like an echoey sound, the typewriter going in whenever you change the plot. All of that is so good. But I think that if we're really, really talking about in-game audio, sound design, and how it works into the game itself, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is just spectacular. I think that it captured that comic book style game so well, and all the like comedic timings, the music playing into that, the music playing into the characters' movements and stuff. It was just so good. Hi-Fi Rush definitely takes my vote for audio design. When it comes to score and music, this one is so intense for me, because Soken as a composer from Final Fantasy 16 is so like unreal. Like this huge fantastical composition of just instruments blaring, and it transcends you. You're fighting Bahamut in fucking space and shit, and you're like, whoa, it's fucking awesome. Obviously the soundtrack to Baldur's Gate 3 captures that world so well. It's got like the perfect medieval fantasy vibe throughout the entirety of the game. There's great boss themes. Like I just fought Raphael, and his theme and his song when you're fighting him was so good. But man, I would be hard pressed to not say I've left the game and I'm still listening to Alan Wake's soundtrack. All of their licensed songs, their original songs, the music and the score in that game is just so immersive, so fun. The old gods of Asgard are actually going to perform at the Game Awards. That's how good it was. We got the made up band from the game performing at the Game Awards. If you have not listened to the old gods of Asgard, if you have not listened to their songs, do it, or just wait till you play the game and then listen to them in there. But I think that out of all these, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, it's got an okay soundtrack. I think the trailer song for Tears of the Kingdom was better than most of the in-game ones, because a lot of the songs in Tears of the Kingdom were carryover from Breath of the Wild. They're great songs. Hateno Village is always going to be cozy. Zora's Domain is always going to be great. Down by the River is awesome, yep, but I don't think it reaches that awesomeness level of Alan Wake 2's original songs, and then all the songs in between each chapter for Saga. Baldur's Gate 3, Raphael, hello. Yeah, that's why Baldur's Gate 3 was good. I just don't think it reaches that high for me that Alan Wake 2 does. Like I mean, I can go listen to Baldur's Gate 3's soundtrack and have a good time, enjoy the aspects of a medieval fantasy and that style of genre. But Alan Wake 2 was just so out of nowhere. The musical for Alan Wake, that original song was great. The Anger's Remorse song was great. The last song that you have when you're fighting the waves of enemies in Saga, when they show up on the bus, all of that's amazing. And then besides that, just the in between chapters, the licensed music, or I don't know if it's licensed or if that was made for the an original song for the game. But they were all like really, really cool and different, and you never knew what you were gonna get. I want that game on vinyl so bad, but I would want all of these on vinyl. So it's tough. But yeah, my vote's gonna go for Alan Wake 2 as best score and music. But I will say it is bull, because Bomb Rush Cyberpunk should have been on here. I would go as far to say Hi-Fi Rush or Tears of the Kingdom should be removed and have that Bomb Rush in there instead. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk soundtrack, unreal, so good. That would have been my vote for sure, but I don't know why Bomb Rush got snubbed entirely. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, what do they have against it? It's an amazing game. Best art direction. For outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. This one, it's gonna be tough. I feel like Tears of the Kingdom has an amazing art style. It's got an amazing look of Hyrule, but it does rely a lot on what we've seen for Breath of the Wild. And that's not to, diminish it, but this is this year, 2023. I can't just say, oh yeah, that watery, fanciful art style of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is timeless. It is timeless, but it's just, when you're putting it up against newer games that give you a new experience, you're not as thrilled with an old experience. You know what I mean? Mario Wonder looks great. I think the art style of Mario and Friends and the facial animations and all of the wackiness of the Wonder Flower does a great job. But I still think that it's something that is on a more minimal scale. Mario Wonder can only offer so much compared to the other games that we have on here, and it's not something that I could feel stand out to me as much as another person. But if you're a huge Mario fan, if you're a huge Nintendo fan, and you find that all the changes of Mario and Friends, especially the voice acting for all of Mario and everybody, resonated with you, I mean, that's fine. If you think that's the art direction that stood out the most to you and you love the way it looks, more power to you. I just personally don't find it as the compelling winner in this one. Lies of P, I think that it captured a version of steampunk and technology, along with a more old school styled character design. I think it captured it really, really well. I think that Lies of P stands out in its art direction. I think that the design of certain characters and certain bosses were great, but I also think that some of them, when I think back to just looking at Geppetto stand there's nothing spectacular. When I look back and see Sophia standing there, like, yes, she's the blue fairy, or she's the the entity of the blue lady from Pinocchio. It's not groundbreaking, it's just nice. It's a nice look. I think Lies of P is a very, very well established and stunning game in its own regard. It's got some really, really good visuals, but I think since it also relies on that more kind of stagnant look of the Dark Souls games, I think that it falters in some regard when it comes to its characters and how they are showcased in the world, if that makes sense. Hi-Fi Rush and Alan Wake 2. I think that Hi-Fi Rush looks spectacular for a game that looks like it could be a comic book. It looks like it could be a Saturday morning cartoon. It looks phenomenal. And I think that these are characters that are very, very memorable. They're super, super engaging with how they interact visually with the world and how clumsy they are. I think that overall Chai was really, really charming, especially with Robbie Daymond as his voice actor. and the way the art would bring out his character more with his model and the way he would interact was really, really cool. I just think that for best art direction, Alan Wake 2 is just it went above and beyond with having these like really, really nice, pretty, realistic graphics, but going beyond that, moving beyond just having nice graphics and then also having the world transform around you, having visual effects through the echoes where you have a silhouette of Alex Casey and he's talking and the voice is echoing depending on where you're at, having the environment change depending on what story you chose for Alan, his plot device or plot point. And then all the mixture. That's why I was asking you guys too when I was playing through Alan Wake 2. I was like, how do we feel about the mixture of live action and gameplay? Like, do we feel like that's fun? Is it cool? Is it different? Is it too intrusive? Is it watching a movie instead of playing a game? But it never felt like that. You were excited to see how the live action characters would interact, because they were the characters from the game. They were just, you know, actual actors moving around doing stuff. And yeah, I just think that art direction is also included. It's something that you are an artist being a director making a movie just as much as you are making a video game and you know, having 3D renders of stuff move around and talk. And yeah, I just think that Alan Wake 2, it feels like if you took a movie director and asked him to make a game, and I think Remedy and Sam Lake, they just went all out with their quirkiness and their ability to tie these different game worlds together and all of that stuff. So my vote for art direction, I think that Alan Wake 2 was just so memorable, phenomenal, and just different. And I think that along with the mixture of live action and meshing the world with fiction becomes reality and blah blah blah, it was just really, really cool. What's up, man? How's it going? Thank you for being here. Best narrative. Yeah, again, this is tough. Like, we're getting we're getting into the tough categories. We don't have many left. We've got 3 left. For best narrative, for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, Spider-Man is instant out. Let's be real. Spider-Man's out for sure. I think that while the story, it's just something that's following a comic, and it's a story, it's a narrative, it's compelling. Miles and Peter going through their turmoils with their families and their friends and the villains that they face. All of that, yeah, it's very, very, you know, compelling. It's a compelling narrative in its own regard, but I think that on the grander scale of what a narrative could achieve and what it can accomplish, I think that it just falls a little short compared to the other people on this list. Also, Cyberpunk, it's just tough for me. I haven't experienced Phantom Liberty. I know it's just a DLC expansion. It's part of the main story, not the main story. But I can't tell you exactly how I feel on it because I haven't played it. I'll probably play it one day in the future. I want to do a replay of Cyberpunk at some point. I just haven't. Especially with all the new update, the 2.0 update, with all the extra stuff and the different skill trees and everything like that. Final Fantasy 16's narrative was really, really, like, the opening sequence was so captivating and just completely compelling. Like, the whole thing with Joshua and Clive and Joshua being taken and Clive being taken into enslavement as a branded, I think that it kicked off such a huge you know, just like grasp on the player. You're like, you're gonna be along for this ride, and you were so excited to see what would happen next in the next cutscene. I just think what sucks about Final Fantasy 16 is the narrative and the world building was outstanding, but the roots of the team, the what's the name of the what's the name of the team that worked on Final Fantasy 16? I know it's the same team as 14. Okay, yeah, it's called Creative Business Unit 3. That's the name of the team. that worked on 16. It's the same team that works on 14. So those roots, those MMO storytelling roots, are very, very prevalent. There's a lot of things in Final Fantasy 16 that feel like you're playing through a chapter of an MMO or like a patch. And that's where it unfortunately brings it down, man. Like it's like I can't stress it enough. The highs are so high with that game. The narrative standpoints of when Joshua and Clive are fighting together, when Bahuma is taking on Clive in his craze form, speaking with Odin and Benedicta, all of that stuff is really good, but it's just so it's like it's just out. I don't know. It's just hard to fully praise it in certain aspects of where it delivered. So now the best narrative comes down to Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2. Now we've got some people in the chat. Brawley's saying Alan's taking this one. Moon Princess is saying that Alan Wake takes this one. Solara posted an Alan Wake GIF emoji, so that makes me think that he's thinking about Wake as well. I think that both games, this is another scenario where it comes down to your personal taste and your personal interest on what captivates you more. I love both of these games. I think the narrative for both of these games are absolutely, spectacular and captivating. Baldur's Gate 3 has multiple endings, multiple companions, multiple ways to approach a narrative. And that's where I'm getting at too. I agree with Fumbles. I think that Alan Wake 2 delivers a narrative that's really, really, just so out there, so compelling and so memorable. You have all these questions throughout the whole game, so many ups and downs and twists and turns. You don't know where it's gonna go. I thought that I knew what was happening. I thought I knew what character was what, and I didn't. I don't know. I still have questions because of how the game's ending played out. And I think that if you're looking at Alan Wake 2 solely as a game this year that you experienced, you would have a very, very compelling time and a super immersive experience with Alan and his story, along with Saga and all these other characters. My only takeaway from that is the narrative for Alan Wake 2 relies heavily on other games outside of Alan Wake 2. Now, that's to be expected. It's a sequel game. It's a game that you can't jump into Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers and be like, oh, who the hell is Frodo? You have to go you have to watch the first Lord of the Rings. I get that. But this takes from multiple avenues. There's Alan Wake 1 that you have to play to get an understanding of Alan Wake 2. You also have elements of Alan Wake's DLC. It's very small, but they're in there that would also be taken into the story. You've got Control, which is a different game from Remedy that has very, very little to do with Alan Wake, but then a lot now. But you're playing through Control that you also need to get information from, and Control's DLC that you need to get information from. So that all of that's adding into Alan Wake's 2, like the experience playing through that game. And yeah, I just feel like, and you can also say Quantum Break. There's a little bit there, but nothing major. But Quantum Break is also another game that has cutscenes and characters that take place in Alan Wake. I believe a teaser for Alan Wake 2 came from a Quantum Break. I think both games have it, Control and Quantum Break. But yeah, Remedy is building a universe with these characters in these games, surrounding the FBC and stuff like that, and it's really, really cool. It's really awesome. But I think that does knock points away because that requires the person playing the game, if they go out and buy Alan Wake 2, they are having issues with the fact that, whoa, what's this AWE stuff? What's the FBC? What's Tim Breaker? What's Mr. Door? Blah, 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 all this other stuff. And I think that if you're along for the ride, if you've played those other games, you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be super interesting and fun and exciting to see where it's going. And we still got more coming with the DLC for Alan Wake 2. New Game Plus is coming out soon, and it's going to add new manuscript pages and new stuff for the game to be experienced in. So I'll be going back to Alan Wake 2 soon enough. But yeah, I just think Baldur's Gate 3, the amount of effort that was put into the characters, the world, the story, how you as a player affect how people's story ends up. Like, what is going to happen with Shadowheart? It depends on you. What's going to happen to Will? It depends on you and your choices. And you can go back and do it all over again in a different way. You can have all these different scenarios where you have Will continues to live and Gale dies, or you have Gale lives and he does a sacrifice and then Astarion is there too, or you have all these different avenues. Or you can ignore all of them. You can be the Dark Purge and you can be the most evil thing ever. It's really hard for me to sit here and not say Baldur's Gate 3 went above and beyond when it comes to what they delivered with how you can progress the story and how many times you can experience that story in a new way. It's phenomenal. But again, there's something that I want to bring up when we get to the Game of the Year nominations when it comes to Baldur's Gate. But that is my vote for the best narrative for this year. Let's go. That's my dog. Best game direction. This one, I like. It's hard for me to sit here and tell you that the best game direction is Mario. The best game direction is Spider-Man. Like, those two are games that are just, they're out there. They accomplished their goal. They're what you wanted. The direction could have been got pushed further than the predecessors. And they're spectacular games. They're all here for a good reason. I believe these are all the Game of the Year nominations besides Resident Evil 4. But I just think that when you look at what it says. It says awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. What game have we been talking about throughout this whole time that involves that kind of creativity and innovation in video games? Now, obviously, Tears of the Kingdom, spectacular direction with that game where they're like, hey, let's take aspects of the first game, but let's also include a whole bunch of new elements with Link's arm, the Zonai technology, the God Hand, being able to ascend and go through structures, and all of these different elements of being able to create and have a unique and fun experience of your own making. That's an amazing accomplishment, especially on old hardware, especially on a game that's a sequel to someone that was one of the best games of all time. The mechanisms in Zelda won this. I think the mechanisms and the creative design of Tears of the Kingdom will definitely give it some points for people, and that's where people would vote. Me personally, I'm giving it to Alan Wake 2. I think when it comes to creative vision and innovation in game direction, I think that when the creator and director himself is directly involved in acting in the thing, in shooting a movie that's inside the game that you can watch on the big screen, along with all of the different visual effects, all of the different visual effects, and being able to mold the story in the way that Alan wants it, when the different plot points, all of that is so different, and it's a unique experience that only that game can offer. You have these moments where you're walking through a door and then the whole room changes. You got a point where Alan gets shot in the head and then he wakes up in the studio, and it's like taking a project, like a film, a passion project from somebody shooting a film, and putting it into the video game world where you got this character trying to get away from the dark place, trying to get away from his experiences in the dark place. I think that Alan Wake, it's a spectacular game of showing what developers can do when they let loose. It kind of reminded me a lot of like the early Kojima stuff, like the early Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear 3, breaking the fourth wall at times. I think Raleigh says, I think that loses value because nothing feels real till the end. But that's the thing, is that it's a game. When you're thinking about game direction, you're thinking about how to approach making a video game, and I think that Sam Lake and his crew deciding to make this overlapping world of different games coming together into one, along with having live action be a part of the game with real actors. You have real actors filling the role of these different characters alongside all these different avenues of that same actor playing different characters. You got Sam Lake, who's the actor for Alex Casey in the real world, that has a different voice. But then you've got Sam Lake pretending to be Alex Casey in those movies, but then you also have him as Alex Casey, the one that's in the world with Saga. So there's like all these different overlaps of the director himself of the game doing all this, on top of the Alan character being Scratch, being the live action version, being Tom, being Alan Wake himself. You've got the old gods of Asgard who are younger in their performances in Alan's Dark Place, but then they're also old in the real world. You know, there's so many different ways of them going about how are we going to tell this story, and it's so interesting. Brawley says, like, it's great visual game, but a good characters, we kind of lose the feeling of it, like Attack on Titan. I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to say difference. Like, obviously everyone can have their opinion, and if Brawley feels that way, sure. But Brawley hasn't played Alan Wake 2. He wasn't there watching every cutscene or watching how the characters played out. He knows the gist of it, and he's going off of that. So it's like, it's hard for me to fully take the opinion. Said you weren't a gamer. We felt it. But yeah, I think if I were to, if I'm matching it up to game direction of Baldur's Gate 3, what my biggest issue with the game direction and how things are going with Baldur's Gate 3 is that they accomplished so much over a big period of time, and that's what's gonna lead me into what we are when it comes into our Game of the Year nomination. For best game direction, I'm giving it to Alan Wake 2 because I feel like that game is a unique experience. It's something that you can't really have told in the same way again. And yeah, that's also another point. It says after 13 years of Alan Wake being gone, coming out and just hitting that stride in such a unique and fun way was just so awesome. I think that how do you take something that was dormant for so long and really nail it that way, like so well? Like, the direction was on point. The way they wanted to handle everything was well done. I can't stress it enough. So that's my vote for best game direction. Now we have the Game of the Year. So this is the one that everyone is excited for. It is one that I have stated multiple times. I cannot be upset. All of these games here are amazing, fun. I would play these for years to come. All of these games. Baldur's Gate 3, I could play it any day, any month, any year of my life. Alan Wake 2, I could come back to and enjoy it and have a great time, have those experiences of the performances, the live action, all of that, all wrapped up into one, and have a great time with it. It'll be fun. The collectible stuff, New Game Plus, all that stuff is coming out. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, that's just a, like, I still go back. I've played remastered Spider-Man Remastered, Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Man PS4, but on PS5, like the Performance Edition or whatever. I've played the first game so many times. I played Miles Morales at least like 3 times. I got the platinum for all of those on PlayStation. And Marvel Spider-Man 2 just adds more. Here's both Spider-Man, here's more story, here's more world to explore, there's more abilities to be used. I think that Spider-Man 2, you know, I believe it's one of Sony's, or if not Sony's, most highest selling game in a while or something like that. or at all. So it's got the numbers, it's got people there excited for it, and there's more to come with the way the game ended. We've got more Spider-Man on the horizon, especially I believe more DLC planned for it as well, or some DLC. There hasn't been any at all yet. Resident Evil 4 is a classic, and this is a game that lets you still be able to go back and enjoy the original. The original still has bosses. It still has elements to it that you can go back and enjoy the original 4. But Resident Evil 4 remake was great. It added separate ways recently with Ada that people enjoyed. That's another game that I also when I do these, I really take into consideration everything when I play these games, and when I come and discuss Game of the Year, everyone's out there talking about their opinions and their experiences with these games. And for me, I really like to, back it up. I've played and beat all these games except for Baldur's Gate 3, but I've played Baldur's Gate 3 a bunch. And I've got the receipts to prove it. Look, right here, Mario Wonder, that's this game right here. I've 100% that game. I beat all the missions. I got every flower. I got every world defeated. I've got all the special tokens. It's 100% done. I've got the green check mark. Your GF played the shit out of that for you. No, she did. So Mario Wonder, I'm there. My opinion is valid for Mario Wonder. If we're talking about Marvel Spider-Man, it's right there. I've got Marvel Spider-Man Platinum Trophy, all the trophies done, 100% the game, defeated Venom, all of it. It's done. If we're talking about Resident Evil 4, I've got Resident Evil 4 done. I've got all trophies. I've got everything done for it. We're talking about the game of the year, right? I'm not gonna mess around and just say, oh, I haven't played this game of the year, so my opinion is this one wins because blah, 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 right? I've got all of these receipts here. If you want Alan Wake 2, I've got, where is it? So I've got everything done in Alan Wake 2, except for one trophy because it's bugged. You can look it up. It's the one where you have to get the CRTV commercials from the Kowalski brothers, and I can't do it because it's bugged. So I've done it, I just can't do it. But yes, I didn't play the Separate Ways DLC. I played the original Separate Ways way back when on the original release, but I have not played Ada's DLC. I wasn't a fan of Ada's voice actress. I didn't find her very compelling, but I've heard that Separate Ways DLC is good, so I'll play it eventually. And yeah, like I mentioned, on my Steam profile right now, I have 141 hours in Baldur's Gate 3. That's a pretty good time sink for me not like the game. And yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, I mean, let me see. If we go over, I wanted to share this with you guys too. So again, spoilers be warned for all these games. I'm going to be talking about them in depth. So be careful with spoilers. But if we go over to my Switch here. So this is my screenshots from Tears of the Kingdom. And this is what I mean by the game just having this journey, this experience that was just so memorable and so, like, I don't know, just spectacular. It was magical going through this game that launch week and just playing through, seeing the experience of getting the Master Sword off of Zelda as a dragon. She's flying through the sky, and you don't know until you get there. You find out that she all those years she absorbed the freaking orb thing that she needed to harness the Master Sword into the perfected version of it. And then these moments of fighting Phantom Ganon, getting to this part with all of the different heroes from each tribe, the part where he summons everybody because he gets to full power and everyone pulls up. It's just a memorable experience where Ganon is becoming one again with himself. He's the Demon King reborn. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. He's got Zelda tattooed on his... No, I don't. But yeah, like Tears of the Kingdom, this part right here where Ganon's health bar, I don't have a screenshot of it, but his health goes beyond that. It goes all the way to the side of the screen, and you're taking him down one-on-one. You have this fight where Zelda shows up, and you have to fight his dragon form out in the sky. All these years later, after Zelda's been turned into a dragon, it was an epic. It was an epic adventure as a Zelda fan for all these years. It was unreal. All these different moments. Like, this is what I want to capture. You can't relive this. This is one of those games where you're like, man, if there was a game I could re-experience and play again, it would probably be Tears of the Kingdom. That launch week. Same thing with Breath of the Wild. Both games. That launch week was just spectacular. But what I'm trying to prove a point here is that gaming in the year of 2023 has been amazing. It's been so good. We've been so fortunate to have so many amazing titles that have touched so many different people in different ways when it comes to what they experience emotionally and the excitement of the action and the story they're being presented with. And I've enjoyed all of them. I've enjoyed every game on this list in different ways. I've expressed it enough. How do you go and someone asks you what's your favorite childhood memory, and you're like, oh, I remember going to watch the Lord of the Rings for the first time. I remember when I got to play this game when it first released. I remember when my dad bought me this. There's so many memories. It's hard to pick because they all do different things for you. What's your favorite movie? Oh, well, my favorite horror movie, my favorite, fantasy adventure movie, my favorite superhero movie. They all do different things, and it's just so hard to sit there and say this is the absolute best one. The other ones have no chance. It's impossible. So, and especially this year. Now, I do want to say, while this year has been absolutely phenomenal when it comes to gaming and all these different games coming out to experience and enjoy, it's been an absolute pleasure being able to get through all this year and play as much as I can. It hasn't been a great year when it comes to the industry, with so many people being let go of their jobs, so many freaking companies saying, okay, well, end of the year's coming around, we got to let a bunch of people go. And it's really, really shitty where the industry is at with its turnover rate and the fact that so many people are losing their jobs after putting out one of the best games ever, And I'm just hoping that things progress better in the game space. I recently, I can't talk much about it, but I recently got a job as a QA for a game that I'm excited for. And what is it? It sucks because I want to be excited, but I know that the industry is in such disarray, and so many people are going through the process of, okay, well, I just lost my job that I had for a couple years now, and what do I do? Why can't and the people can't retain the talent that helped build these games. So I'm appreciative of all the games that came out. I'm happy that so many people were able to put out their talents and their livelihood to get these games out there. But I'm just hoping that overall the games, that the industry does better at being able to make people proud of what they did and continue to do what they love, But I really cared about all these games. They all are amazing and fun, and I enjoyed my time with all of them. What I wanted to get at when it came to, because obviously Mario Wonder does not match up to the caliber, at least I don't feel, it doesn't match up to the caliber of Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man, Baldur's Gate, Alan Wake 2. Mario Wonder is an amazing game, really, really fun, very challenging, and it captures that essence of 2D Mario. Back in the day, Super Mario Bros. 3, it's a game that everyone loved. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Mario Bros. 3, amazing game, so fun, I can play it for hours. I'll have so much fun with it. I'll never get tired of it. And I'll load up Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and have a blast. It's like I'm playing it again for the first time, all over again. But Mario Wonder can capture that. But the caliber of games that we've been receiving these days just isn't at that level anymore. Like, it's an enjoyment level for someone, and they can have a blast with it, but it's just not to the extremity of these other games that give you hours and hours of content and emotion and sadness and happiness and all this other stuff. It just doesn't hit that point. So Mario Wonder for me does not get the vote. Resident Evil 4, I love Leon. Is such an amazing character. He's iconic. Capcom and Resident Evil, that's just a duo that's been around forever now. And they nailed it with the remake. Resident Evil 2 remake is one of the best remakes ever. Resident Evil 3 remake wasn't as good as it could have been. There was a lot of shortcomings and it was put out way too quickly. But Resident Evil 4 took its time and we got an experience that was, you know, justified for the original and how iconic and amazing that game is. Resident Evil 4 remake was able to bring that story and bring that Leon back into the spotlight, and I'm hoping that they take this stride of these remakes being the new like timeline of what the characters are doing, how they're reacting to the world, and I'm hoping that the next one they got building up, if it's Resident Evil 5 remake or if it's a remaster, or I just hope they change it. I hope they do something different, or they don't make Chris just full-blown Jughead and Wesker goes away and all this other stuff. I hope they do something with this stride, because Resident Evil 4 left us in a great place where he's still out there dealing with Ada, dealing with Umbrella, and that's all you need. Just keep that storyline with Umbrella, but just don't make it so convoluted and so all these different viruses, all these different things. I feel like Resident Evil 4 came out, it landed, a lot of people, the community there enjoyed it, the fandom was strong, there were so many videos put out, so many guides and so many little Easter eggs, all these different things. The admiration for the game was there, and I'm glad that it was out. I just feel like it's a remake, so while that's not a complete, you know, I'll get rid of it, it shouldn't be allowed here. I just think that I knew what to expect, and I was wowed, and they even surpassed my expectations, but it was a game that I experienced and I knew the outcome of, and they continued with that. So it's not something that I can find myself finding to enjoy more than the other ones that were given to me this year. What is it? Next up, I'm Spider-Man 2. What I haven't said already is just, you know, the overall performance and the story of including these characters that we've known from comics and movies and stuff. They did their own thing, and they did it really, really well. I feel like there's still more to be excited for. I think Kraven was really, really cool for what he was first set out to be as, and him being a Spider-Man villain is just so, you know, you don't know what to expect with him, but they did a lot with him that was exciting, and with Venom and how they included both of them in this game. I think that the sections with Mary Jane weren't needed as well. I didn't hate them as much as the first game, but they were just not the highlight. We've got 2 Spider-Men going out in the world, and we still had a reason to have a really, really overpowered gun that would one-shot enemies as MJ, but as Spider-Man, you would have to take them down a lot longer or something. I don't know. It was a little weird. MJ with the blicky on deck, yeah. But yeah, I think Spider-Man, it came to do what it needed to do, and it did it. Man, it was fine. It was great. It was fun. It was such an exciting game to get through, seeing New York in all that its glory, and going between the islands. It was fun that they expanded on it, but I still feel like its biggest downfall is with how safe it was with its sequel. Here's another game in the Spider-Man universe, but we're still in New York. We're still doing stuff with Peter, and we're still doing these little side things with random people of town that didn't feel like you needed to be Spider-Man for. I don't know. There was a lot of decisions in the game that didn't pan out to be as spectacular as I wanted, but it was still an amazing game. I will pick it up and have a blast any day of the week. But unfortunately, I think it just falls short compared to the other games on this list when it comes to my vote for Game of the Year. So we've got the top 3, which is Alan Wake 2, Tears of the Kingdom, and Baldur's Gate 3. I personally would love if any of these 3 win, I'm happy, because these are my top 3. These are the ones that I am very, very convinced any of them can take it. It could take it because of popularity. It could take it off of legacy. It could take it off of just technical aspect and just artistic views of how it was presented. All of those are accomplished here. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I have been heavily anticipating for years. And the thing is, I've also been playing it for years. If I pull it up right here, Baldur's Gate 3, early access released in October 6th of 2020. So obviously that was 3 years ago. And that's where my reservations lie with the game. I think that when you're being nominated for Game of the Year, you're being nominated for a game that you put out that year that the people were able to take in and complete and enjoy and just full-on experience. And the problem that I have with Baldur's Gate 3 is the same problem that a lot of people would probably have if Fortnite was in early access for many years and then got put up for Game of the Year a couple years later. I think that it is not exactly the most ideal circumstance where, yeah, we're done with the game, we're going to release it in 2023, but then actually we're not done with the game. We have major 30 gig patches with more content that's going to help with certain character stories, that's going to help with certain acts, that's going to help with epilogues. I think the game is phenomenal. I think the idea of having so many characters, so many stories, so many avenues of going through this experience is revolutionary, along with so much mocap work of the characters having specific animations and the way they move and the way they interact with certain parts of the world, certain Easter eggs. There was one section where this little drow, I think it was like a gnome, she was gonna blow up herself and us as a threat, but if you steal the little cast of powdered gunpowder or whatever, if you steal it, she reacts to it. She says, "Wait a second, where'd it go?" Because you can have one of your characters go around and steal the item before she does it, and that's something that maybe 90% of the player base probably never see. I'm sure there's still to this day things that people will never see in the game because they haven't figured it out yet. There hasn't been a specific scenario where you have one character here, you have this item in your possession, and then you talk to this person, and then they're like, "Whoa, all of that happened, and you have all that stuff already. Well, okay, let's do this." There's so much dialogue. Almost every NPC that is important or that's in the vicinity of the story, they're voiced. There's so many voices. It's not like you're playing an RPG where you have your main cast and you're talking to main characters, but then there's people in town eating a pizza and they're like, no voice, just a little dialogue saying, "Oh, this town has great food." You know, all of this is in the game. It's revolutionary. It's spectacular. But I just think that the reason why it doesn't get my Game of the Year vote is because it's a game that I've been playing. I played it last year. I played through the acts last year. You know, I played through not the end of the game. I haven't got through the end of the game because they're still working on it, and it's just a lengthy experience playing with multiple. Thank you. It's a lengthy experience playing with 3 other friends and having all the schedules line up to play multiplayer and get through all that. And then on top of that, you know, my experience in the multiplayer aspect of going through the story, you can't really interact with the main characters. You need them in your party to have them have their conflicts resolved and stuff. Bumble says, to be fair, you also played Tears of the Kingdom when it was called Breath of the Wild. That's false. But yeah, so that's why Baldur's Gate 3 falls short for my vote when it comes to Game of the Year. I'm more than happy if it wins because I still think that it's a phenomenal game that everyone should experience and play. And it's gonna win awards no matter what. It's gonna win something. Like it's too good a game to not win something. But I would be happy if it wins. It's just not my vote. I think that Alan Wake 2 is another contender for me where that game came out of nowhere towards the end of the year. after a long wait of Alan Wake 1. I was not even a fan of Alan Wake. I didn't play it originally. I have the remaster on PS5, and if it were not for my girlfriend who said that she was like a big fan, I probably wouldn't have played it right away. She was the one that ended up buying it. She bought Alan Wake 2. But I played through Alan Wake 1 and I enjoyed the story. I thought that his story in Bright Falls was so interesting and I wanted to see more of it. And so when we got Alan Wake 2, I was just completely blown away by it. I was taken by the characters and the music and the story and the way it was presented and the visuals and all of that. There's been so much stuff that game presented that was so revolutionary to me when it comes to experiencing a game and what to expect from a game and its story. But I just think that Alan Wake 2 is a strong contender. If I were to rank it, it'd probably be in the third spot of my expectancy of it winning. But what I want to point to is an experience that we had a couple years ago. I believe it was in, I think it was 2018 or 2016. 2018 was the Game Awards where we had God of War and we had Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's something that I want to rely on a lot when it comes to my ideas of how things play out with the Game of the Year and also just other awards, is that Red Dead Redemption 2 won a lot of awards that year. It won. I think it won some awards that I don't agree with. It won Best Score and Music over Octopath Traveler. And I was like, that's bullshit, because Octopath Traveler's soundtrack is phenomenal. It's so good. But then Red Dead Redemption 2 won so many awards, but then God of War took it. And it makes you think, like, what was the shortcoming? What was the problem? So many people loved Red Dead Redemption 2. It was the most popular choice. What happened? And it's because it's not exactly in our control. We've got multiple media outlets, multiple people on the staff and on the board who are the majority vote, who are going to go off of statistics, who are going to go off of technical aspects, who are going to go off of overall levels of development for the game rather than just popularity. I really liked it. Yeah, the soundtrack was good for Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not saying it was bad. I just don't think it should have won. But it did. So, you know, who am I to say? But if you listen to the entirety of Octopath Traveler's soundtrack, do so and then get back to me, because it is so good. Especially when you're in the game, immersed in the part of the world that you're in. That whole soundtrack is just so good. But yeah, I just think that for me, when it comes to my experience of a game that came out this year, that was given to me, and I had my time with it, it was a memorable and amazing experience. It was something that was highly anticipated, and a game that I just got completely blown away with its presentation of its gameplay, its story, and its world, and just how many countless hours I can spend doing nothing but doing everything, if that makes sense. Is Tears of the Kingdom. I absolutely love this game. I can see myself coming back and playing it. I want to go back and play it now. I want to go back and experience it again. I want to go get everything. I want to go collect all the stuff. I want to get all the different rewards and everything tatted across his chest. It's not. I've got no tattoos of Zelda on me. But yeah, I mean, Zelda, obviously, it's a franchise that I grew up with. It's my favorite video game franchise of all time. And the reason why I went through all this long-winded experience is because I love all these games. Even though Zelda is closer to my heart, and that's why it's my vote, I can see any of these winning. Maybe not Mario. I can see Mario not winning, but I can see any of the others winning due to their own established stance on what they put on the gaming world. And it's just up to the people. It's up to whoever voted, and then on top of that, all of the different staff and the people who were out in the world on the board and stuff that are working with the Game Awards, what they think qualifies as Game of the Year. Fumbles gives the top 3 of Baldur's Gate 3, Wake, and then Zelda. The rest are good, but not Game of the Year material. I agree. I think that those interchangeable 3 are why I really find it. I could not be upset with anybody's opinion of what they think that the game is. You also played it alone, no streaming, so you're able to fully be immersed. Yes, that is true too. Tears of the Kingdom was a game that I wanted to play. Well, actually, no. I streamed Tears of the Kingdom. That was Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was the one that I played fully immersed solo. I streamed Tears of the Kingdom. I have all the VODs. But yeah, I think Spider-Man was more. No, even that one too. I streamed it. I streamed all of these games. Baldur's Gate was the one I played off stream. I guess Mario Wonder we played one day on stream. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my overview of my votes for the Game Awards. They're all submitted. They're all there. I'm very impressed with this year in gaming. I think that this year really stood out as one of the most amazing experiences of going through different, and these are all from different consoles: PC, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. All of them had something to offer, and most of them were on PC. Thankfully, that was cool. I just really hope that next year things get better for the industry, and I hope that next year we get more of a refinement in people's ability to just enjoy games and not worry about what console has what. I know the console wars have kind of died down for the most part, but there's still people saying like, oh, Xbox doesn't got shit. And for the most part, they don't. But Xbox, it's a unique experience because they are also PC. You know? It's like if all of Sony's stuff came out on PC as well, then you wouldn't really be able to sit there and be like, oh, well, Sony doesn't have any exclusives except for Spider-Man. And then it's a tough conversation because I prefer, me as a person who enjoys all different types of variety of games, I prefer when more stuff when games are on more consoles. I'm not a huge fan. Even with Nintendo, if Nintendo came out with their own paid subscription PC app, I would do it because I would get to play Nintendo games in no limitations of hardware. I'd buy that shit day one, yeah. And so for me, it's just mainly about being able to play the games rather than what console has the better ones. But that's always going to be a thing. I'm just hoping next year it continues to be less and less. Sony is now putting stuff on PC as well. God of War is on there. Spider-Man 1's on there. I think Horizon is on there as well. I'm just hoping that things. I mean, Last of Us have put out PC games. I don't think Last of Us is just Sony though, right? Is it? I don't remember. But yeah, I'm so blown away. I can't wait for the Game Awards. I will be live here on my Twitch channel, streaming and reacting and enjoying the Game Awards completely. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, if you want to come by and watch, thank you for getting to the end of the video of all my votes. Let me know what you thought about my complaints and my opinions and everything. If you want to let me know in the comments, please do. Let me know what you voted for. I want to know your top 3 Game of the Years or your number 1. And thank you everybody who's here in the chat with me today. I really appreciate you guys talking with me, hanging out with me throughout all of this. Yeah, that was all I could say. I've been rambling, but that's all my thoughts of this year in gaming. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for what's to come at the Game Awards, what we're going to get announced. I'm actually going to probably make a prediction video tomorrow on stream. We're going to go over what we know of the Game Awards and then maybe some predictions and like wants and needs and what we think might show up. 2024 could be a snooze fest. It can't. We got Rebirth coming out in February, so it's already coming out strong. And we got, Like a Dragon coming out and Dogma 2. Yeah, we got a lot of games already planned out for next year, so we're chilling for the most part. Grand Theft Auto, I'm glad, is in 2025 because I've already got stuff to do in 2024. But all right, guys, thank you for watching. Y'all take care, stay safe, stay beautiful, stay smart, and I'll see you tomorrow here on stream for our predictions and most wants video. And then I'm also gonna be making a top 10 games of the year for this year, and I'm also gonna make a top 10 most disappointing. So I might go over some of those tomorrow, just to kind of get an idea of what games were disappointing. But it's gonna be my personal list, so it's games that I've played. I'm not gonna put Rise of Kong because I didn't play that game and I wasn't disappointed by it because I didn't give a shit about it. But all right. Oh yeah, let me end the video with this one. Haru, come here. Who's a little baby? Here's Haru to say goodbye. Thanks for watching this year's Game of the Year discussion, guys. I appreciate it. And me and Haru will see you next year. Bye-bye.